PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli, and this is going to be a fantastic edition of the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com. And make sure to go to our website, thesportsangle.com. Check out all the content we have on there. We have our articles, audio, video, you name it. Now, we wrote an article recently talking about the $600 million problem that the Anaheim Angels are going to be facing this offseason. So definitely read that article on sportsangle.com. And for all audio listeners at iHeartRadio and Spotify and all the shows we share the show to, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn notification bell. Not miss any episode of the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. And follow me on social media at Ian Rickelli18 and follow the show at Sports Angle on PR. Now, since this is a NFL season preview, of course, I had to bring on King Czar, the legend of Talk Your Ish Tuesday. Stay tuned live. Of course, I'm talking about you, King Czar. Welcome back to the show, my friend. How's it going?
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good to be back.
It's going to be good talking football with you. Normally, when I bring you on, it's talking a little bit of baseball, going to the diamond. But this time, we're going to talk about the gridiron. So, let's kick off the season preview by going to the NFC East and what a treat this is going to be. Now, down below, you are going to see what your host, Ian Rickelli, predicts for the NFC East. Now, Czar, I'm going to have you kind of talk about your Dallas Cowboys since they are your area of expertise. And then we'll kind of talk about the rest of the teams in your division. But let's kick it off. Let's talk with your Dallas Cowboys. Now, I have them here on this show going 12-5, having the best record out of all the wild card teams that are going to be in the NFL. And I say Dallas Cowboys, very respectable, 12-5. They're going to be one of the best teams in all of football. But it's King Czar, what do you see your Dallas Cowboys doing heading into this year?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be crazy. It'd be 3 straight years of 12-5. I mean, who can argue being 12-5? But, you know, we definitely appreciate it. We definitely got to get over that hump. It's not really that we have to get more than 12 wins. It's just that we have to get past that division round. So if that means 12 wins, 11 wins, 13 wins, 14 wins, it don't mean nothing if we don't get past that divisional round. And that's what we're playing for. So to kind of go in a bit about, you know, expectations, kind of what they did in the offseason. Obviously, you know, we changed offensive coordinators, you know, which was our decision. You know, we let Kellen Moore walk. Mike McCarthy wants to take a little bit more control. His job is the one that's on the line, so why not take responsibility? He wants to run the ball more and kind of give a better balance and not put so much pressure on Dak, you know, throwing 40, 50 times a game. So I like that, you know. However, running back situation, we definitely would need horses to do that. You know, obviously Ezekiel is still out there. We did not bring him back. Not sure where he's going to end up. Pollard looks healthy. If he's available, that will be probably our best thing going. I believe, Jones from Tampa Bay that we brought over our acquisition got suspended for a couple of games.
He'll be on a 2-game suspension.
Yeah. So, 2 games is not a lot. We should be able to make do. And then in my wild card is, you know, I believe we got him in the 5th round, if I'm not mistaken.
From Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn is a wild card because very explosive. And even if we don't give him a lot of carries out of the backfield, I think he will catch a lot of passes out of the backfield, which kind of works as a run play per se. But I just like his explosiveness between him and Pollard. That's like, you know, usually teams do thunder and lightning. That's like lightning and more lightning is what that's called. You know what I mean? So, and then Ronald Jones can obviously be that thunder or kind of more of the, you know, balance running back, you know, between the tackles and all that type of stuff. But just to talk about my favorite acquisitions on each side of the ball, I love picking up Stephon Gilmore. We've never had a second cornerback since probably, I don't know, since we've been in the glory days. With him,
former defensive player of the year, yeah,
right, and the fact that he can be the number 2 guy, so he's not expected to come in here and shut down the number 1 receiver. And then on the other side of the ball, bringing in Brandon Cooks, and again, he doesn't have to be the number 1 guy. He technically may not even have to be the number 2 guy, which he definitely can be. But I still believe Gallup, coming off the second year off that ACL, will be 100% ready to go physically and mentally. Sometimes it takes 2 years when you come over an injury like that to get the mental part of it. So I don't see many weaknesses on paper. We addressed the defensive line with Mozzie Smith, the interior. I love that pick. I think he's going to be a dog in the middle, and I think our run defense will improve. Now, obviously, the way I sound, it sounds like we might go 15-2, right? There's not many weaknesses, but this is the NFL. Teams do it. The Eagles went 14-3. The Chiefs, I believe, went 14-3. Again, our main goal is to get past the divisional round further. Do we have the team on paper to do it? Yes, we do. Barring, knock on wood, big injury, which goes for any team. So I would say the expectations, they're up here, but I think we can truly get there. The team on paper is where it starts. I love what we have on paper. I couldn't ask for anything else personally.
Dallas Cowboys trying to get past the divisional round, make the first NFC championship game in 25 years. It has been that long since Dallas Cowboys have been to an NFC championship game. And Czar, you bring up an excellent point. On paper, Dallas Cowboys should be a contender. On paper, they should be one of the best teams in the NFL. But just like your New York Mets in baseball, you can look good on paper, but then you got to go out on the field to play. So
absolutely.
I will say with the Dallas Cowboys, I do have a lot of respect for him heading into the year. You mentioned Michael Gallup. He's actually my favorite player on Dallas. Got to see him in Colorado State, out here in the Mountain West. Knew he'd be a good player, so when he got drafted by Dallas, had a lot of high hopes for him.
Right.
Deuce Vaughn coming out of Kansas State could be a sneaky addition to the Dallas Cowboys. Could be a very good move on that front. Now, I don't know if you pay attention to the betting odds as much as I do, since I'm in the sports betting capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. But there was a prop bet for Dak Prescott and how many interceptions he is going to have this season. The over and under is 8.5 for Dak Prescott. Now, I'm not going to try to put this in your court, but I just want to know, 8.5, would you put a prop bet on that? After all, he is your quarterback.
I think, again, injury obviously plays a big role in this. I think definitely people, which is crazy, when we talked about it. A Dallas Cowboy quarterback and a Yankee shortstop are the most microscoped positions. Like, you do well, super praise. You do bad, it's the end of the world. If you look at before that last season, he was one of the better quarterbacks with the interception ratio. So it's not like he's normally an interception guy. With that said, I'm pinning that he'll play a full 17 games. At least I'm hoping he'll throw more than 8.5. That's perfectly fine. That 8.5 is incredible in 17 games. If I were to guess, he threw 15, I believe, in 12 games last year or 13 games. I think he missed 5 games last year.
He did.
Let's say he plays 16. Let's just say he misses 1 game, maybe the end of the year, whatever the case. If he were to throw, let's say, 11 interceptions, but he has 34 touchdowns, 34 and 11, I take that all day long. So I definitely think he'll throw more than 8.5. If he throws less than that, he just might win the MVP. So take the over. Take the over, Ian.
I mean, I will say take the over for all people out there, especially through my sources at Caesar Sportsbook. They are the best sportsbook here in Las Vegas. I've always said that time and time again. Now, getting to the NFC East, because obviously that's one of the main reasons why I brought you onto this show. Now, Dallas 12-5, very respectable. But But once again, like you mentioned, Czar, it's not about what they do in the regular season. At this point for Dallas, it's about what can we do in the postseason. Can we get past the wild card, get to the divisional? After we get to the divisional, can we finally, for the first time in 25 years, make it back to the NFC Championship game? That is your goal.
Right.
But I have a feeling the Philadelphia Eagles' goal is to get back to where they were 6 months ago.
Right. No, and like I said, they have huge expectations. Again, the difference of this year versus last year, Jalen Hurts isn't going to sneak up on anybody. Now we got plenty of tape on him. Now that he reached this level, can he reduplicate what he did last year? They lost both coordinators. They lost a lot of pieces. Yes, they brought in a lot of pieces. How will those pieces fit versus the pieces that they lost? I don't think Jalen Hurts has the season he has last year. I think he still does well. And I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles make it back to the Super Bowl, although obviously they should definitely be a playoff team. Again, it's just hard to go back. If you look at the runner-ups, and I usually don't do that stuff like that, but I don't know how often or when the last time or how often it is that the runner-up goes back to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So I would put money that they would not make it back to the Super Bowl. But again, a good football team is a good football team. They get those new pieces locked in. They should be right there again, 12, 13. Hopefully it's reversed and we got the 13 and they got the 12. But, they should be right there. It should be like a tit-for-tat battle between the two teams.
Man, they are going to be two of the most respected teams heading into this year out there in the NFC. Now, I will mention the New York Football Giants, or I call them the New Jersey Giants here on the show, because they did make the playoffs last year. They beat Minnesota, got to the divisional round, and then we know what happened there. But when it comes to the New York Giants, before Saquon Barkley, before the Penn State legend himself, Saquon Barkley re-signed, I didn't have the Giants making it back because Saquon Barkley is that impactful of a player. But with him coming back, him signing the deal, him to be on the Giants roster, I think they will get the final wild card spot in the NFC. I say 10-7 would be a respectable record for the New York Giants. They got back Daniel Jones, got back Saquon Barkley. They made a very smart move, kicking out Kenny Golladay, which was definitely a good move on their part. He was an anchor for them. So I will say when it comes to New York Giants, 10-7 is a very good possibility. And I believe for the second year in a row, and I'm going to use a quote from our friend Dennis Holmes here, the greatest division of all time is going to have not just one, not just two, but I think for the second year in a row, you're going to have three teams coming out of the NFC East making the playoffs. Czar, do you agree on that front?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, the predictions I've done so far. That's where I was leaning as well. I don't believe the NFC conference is that strong. When you look at, I don't believe the North gets more than one team. I don't believe the South, gets more than one team. So there's 7 that make it, right?
It is 7, yes.
So let's say that's 2. Then you have 5 more teams left amongst 2 other divisions, which is the East and the West. So it's going to come down to there. And then in the West, I see 2 teams definitely make it. I don't see the 2 other teams making it. So it's going to come down, in my opinion, to the Giants. I know the Vikings is weird because, they just won 13 games and everyone is just trashing them. The South, whoever wins that division, I believe wins 10 games at the most. And I believe the winner of the Bears, the North, I believe the winner only wins 10 games as well. So that's the, not that the Giants are that good. I just don't see another wild card team outside of, the Seattle Niners, Philadelphia, Dallas wild card representatives, those 2. I don't see any other wild card team better.
Definitely a very good point. And once again, if you see our prediction here on Sports Angle, for all the people listening around the world, I will say it. So Philadelphia, I have them at 13 wins, winning NFC East for the first time, going back-to-back in about 2 decades was the last time that there has been a repeat winner in the NFC North. I will be predicting it for this year. Dallas, they will be the first wild card team. I have them at 12-5. New York Giants will be the last wild card team at 10-7. And then lastly, a team we haven't talked about yet is the Washington Commanders, or to borrow a quote from our friend, the Washington Commodores.
Right.
I have them at 7-10. Now, we haven't really talked about them yet, Czar, but what do you think about Washington? Because they're going to have new change in ownership. They have a new quarterback. There's a new offensive coordinator they brought over from the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what happens with Washington. I think they will get better, finish 7-10. But what do you think about Washington?
Yeah, no, I mean, and like I said, I do think that should be the best division again. So Washington is probably potentially could be the best last place team of any division. I don't like the Raiders. I mean, the AFC North, potentially, they don't really have a terrible last place team there. The rest of the division, yeah, I believe either Washington or whoever's last in the North, which probably, in my opinion, Cleveland or Pittsburgh, will be the best last place teams. So I can see a team like that with 7 wins, 8 wins, still bringing in the rear. Washington, in my opinion, and obviously this is the big question, are they a quarterback away? They seem to have this great defensive line we've been talking about for a couple of years. They have, a nice wide receiving core, nice tight end, couple of good young running backs. I think the line is okay. Brought in, Bieniemy. But the big question, as we keep talking about Dennis, happy birthday to you. Big Face Sam, what will he do? So that's the question.
Now, absolutely. Now, I will say, because I know that there is another show that you are going to be on. Props to him, by the way. I have nothing but respect for the other show that you are going to be on. But before you do that, I'm going to be doing this with everybody that is going to be coming on this NFL preview show. Give us your Super Bowl prediction here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, and then tell everybody where they can find you, King Czar.
Well, like everyone who picks their team to start the season, I only pick my team to go to the Super Bowl if it's a realistic chance. So like back when we had, who was our coach? Dave Campo, was that his name?
Dave Campo, yeah.
Yeah, like when we had a coach like that and our quarterback was like Chad Hutchinson going into the year, I didn't pick the Cowboys. Yeah. Right. But when it's a realistic shot, I'm riding with us. So I do think that it's time to get over that hump, and I do think that we will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. But the AFC, I am sorry, Mahomes, you can't win it every year. There is a nemesis, and I'm going to compare these two to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, the new era of that, and that's Joe. I have the Cincinnati Bengals representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. Cowboys, Bengals.
Absolutely. And then once again, Czar, tell everybody where they can find you, all these shows that you are on. Tell everybody where they can find you, Czar.
Yes. If you don't see me here on Ian Rakelly's PR Connections, Sports Angle, you can see me on Stay Tuned Live every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific. Also Tuesday, Talk Your Is Tuesdays with Ignorant Thinkers Podcast, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then, as Ian mentioned, we are starting our football show with the Buck Flair Show. That's Saturday nights, predominantly around 8 p.m. Pacific, sometimes 7:30, whatever the case may be, depending on how much we're drinking. But yeah, other than that, football is back, baby. Let's go.
Football is back, baby. Let's go. That's a great way to end this. Hey, Czar, I'll see you next time, bud.
All right, have a good one, y'all.
And as we are doing our NFL season preview here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media, I'm your host, Ian Rakelly. Doing the NFC East, of course, I had to bring on Dallas Cowboys expert King Czar. And once again, appreciate you coming on the show. Now moving over to the NFC North. And of course, we have to bring on the CEO of Stay Tuned Live and one of my good friends, Josh Bailey. Welcome back to the show. How's it going, my friend?
So what's up, man? Hey, we don't mess with. No, I'm just playing. Yeah. I'm gonna keep it PG, baby. What's up with it?
Hey, keep it PG. Absolutely, that's what the PR Connections Radio is all about. And I appreciate everybody on the network for letting me be on here. Now, getting into the NFC North, you being a Green Bay Packers fan, if you look on the screen down below, you have my prediction for the NFC North. And I'm actually going to kickstart it with you, Josh. I truly believe that your Green Bay Packers, they have the best defense in that division. They have a good running back duo in Jones and Dillon. The receivers are young, up and coming. They're hungry. They are going to be very resilient this year when it comes to your receiving core. They have a lot of talent. I think it's going to prosper. And then your offensive line, it's above average, but it's going to get the job done. It's going to protect your young quarterback in Jordan Love. I have your Green Bay Packers win the division at 10-7. But Josh, tell everyone about your Green Bay Packers and what outlook you have heading into this year.
Man, like Ian said, man, I'm hoping that we finish first. I think it's a chance because of how wide open the NFC North is. But for my Packers, man, I like what I've seen between the connection with Love and Dobbs. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to June and Sam Sports Network that was talking about why not Watson. Because to me, Watson is just a pretty much right now is a deep threat. You know what I'm saying? It takes time to get that chemistry and that timing down. But Dobbs he does everything. He runs, you know what I'm saying, the whole route tree. So I think that connection has been flourishing since last year when Aaron Rodgers he doesn't practice or he doesn't do training camp and stuff like that. So Dobbs and Love has had a nice connection the past couple of years. So I think that connection is going to be cool. I mean, it's up in the air with Jordan Love, man. I like him. I like what I've seen the last last game. And his timing and rhythm with Dobbs is looking nice. And the defense is playing good, too. So, and Clifford, man, that's my guy. We're in good hands if Jordan Love. He might be Jordan Love out. Hey, Sean Clifford might be Jordan Love.
Hey, see, look, if King Zor was still here, the Penn State legend himself, if he was still here, maybe he would agree with you. But you're talking to a University of Utah fan, and Penn State beat us in the Rose Bowl. I'm not going to take that slander, by the way. Jordan Love, he is going to be your starting quarterback out there in Green Bay.
We know how to develop them right now, so I'm good with it, man. Go Packers, baby.
Go Packers. So, yeah, I do have them going 10-7. Then we move down the line, Detroit Lions, the most overrated team heading into this year. This has kind of been the media darling, the favorite to win the NFC North. And I will say, Josh, I kind of have to kick them back down to reality. And I have them going 8-9 in the NFC North in Detroit. Once again, you have no defense. You have a great offense, but little to no defense.
Right.
So with Detroit, I really do not expect much from them, and I will be very surprised if the Detroit Lions actually win that division. So I will say when it comes to the Detroit Lions, what do you think, Josh? Because this team has just really been, slipping the Kool-Aid when it comes to the NFC North.
And a lot of people have been drinking it. You know what I mean? A lot of people think Detroit's going to win the division. So, hey, that means there's less pressure on Green Bay to perform. You know what I mean? Less pressure on Chicago because 9 times out of 10, if you ask somebody, they say Detroit going to win it. So let's see it. But as we all know, if you pay attention to football, Detroit don't really come through when they were expected to do something. So if history repeats itself, Green Bay has good quarterbacks coming from nowhere, you know what I'm saying, us developing, and Detroit has a history of never meeting expectations. So hopefully history repeats itself for us, man.
You know what? We definitely hope that is the case. And my Chicago Bears are next. And I've been saying this for Bears fans, and I obviously am going to say this towards a friend of mine. The Chicago Bears are not winning the division. They're not going from 0 to hero. They're not going to go from 3-14 to 10-7. It's not going to happen. All right. There's a lot of people, including our friend Dennis Holmes, who believes that Chicago Bears are going to win a division. This is their year. Pump the brakes. This is still a rebuild. They're still retooling, reshuffling the defense. It's not a built team yet. 7-10 is a modest answer. All right, that is a very modest and realistic possibility. Chicago Bears 7-10. You still have to question about Justin Fields. Can he get the medium pass working? Because the problem with Justin Fields, Josh, and I'm saying this as a Bears fan, he either does a 5-yard pass or he tries to air it out and goes 50 yards deep.
Right.
Like, he doesn't have a medium pass at all. Like, he does not go for the 15-yard, 20-yard pass. He just doesn't do it.
Right. Well, I didn't see him play today, but I got the notification that he had three touchdowns or 2 touchdowns off 3 passes.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know what I'm saying? He only threw. So I mean, I didn't see it. I didn't know how. I don't know if it was just deep passes or what. But as soon as that happened, I got my buddies from Chicago hitting me up. Was like, "Oh, you saw Justin Fields?" I'm like, "Man, this is what he's supposed to be doing." You know what I'm saying? Like this is what, 3rd year?
No, this will be his 3rd season, correct?
3rd season. So I'm like, man, he's supposed to progress. So hopefully that connection with DJ Moore, as a Packer fans, I don't want to see it, but he should be progressing. You know what I mean? I didn't know y'all only won 3 games last year. I thought it was a little bit more.
Yeah, we had the worst record in all football.
So I forgot. Oh yeah, y'all did. Y'all traded the pick though. But yeah, so I think y'all 7 to 8 wins should be good for y'all, man. Like, I forgot that y'all was that bad last year, man.
I mean, we've got decimated by Dallas. We were decimated by Philadelphia.
3 games?
Pretty much
That's
all
it?
the good teams just came in and punched us in the mouth.
Who y'all beat? Y'all beat the Niners though, right?
We beat the Niners in week 1. We beat New England. And then I think we beat Indy. That one I could be wrong.
Dang, I didn't realize y'all only won 3 games.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, like with the additions y'all got, DJ Moore, I think y'all could get 4 more games, man. Like, yeah, that's realistic. Because y'all could get 2 against not us, but Minnesota. Y'all could split with us. So yeah, that's 3 right there.
Now, I will point out the Minnesota Vikings. I'm really glad you brought it up, and I wasn't forced to. I will say, when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings, look, everyone talks about, all right, they went 13-4 last year. They had one of the best records in all of football. And yet you have them at 6-11. Let me explain perfectly why I have them going 6-11. The reason why I have Minnesota having one of the worst records in the NFL is because of how lucky they were last year. A lot of those wins were in 1-score games, which means that they were 11-0 in 1-score games. That could have easily been 0-11 too. Or that could have been 2-9. They got extremely lucky in a lot of those games because when it's a 1-score game, all it takes is 1 fumble, 1 interception, 1 turnover, and you lose that game.
Yeah, guess what? One of the Vikings fans in some of these groups said. They said that those those wins build character. When you win those close games, it builds character with your team. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on, man. Like, y'all just got lucky. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't, y'all didn't build.
And
no
they got
character.
exposed in the wild card round, by the way.
Exactly.
Everyone forgets that they lost to the New York Football Giants.
Y'all built that much character, 11 games, and y'all still get blown out in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, it don't make no sense to me. But y'all lost. I was so happy as Darius Smith and Dalvin Cook left. Those are big pieces to leave.
And their big losses is actually another reason why I have them going 6-11. Because so many people are forgetting. Dalvin Cook, bye. Adam Thielen, goodbye.
Yeah,
I think not TJ Hawkinson, Irv Smith Jr., goodbye. I mean, they lost certain members of their offensive line. On the defense, Darius Smith, he's gone.
That's a big.
I mean,
yeah, that's a
this
big.
This is a lot of moving parts in Minnesota, and I don't expect them to do good. I don't expect them to do well. I'm going to be generous and have Minnesota go 6-11, and I think they could actually be worse this year. But Minnesota 6-11, and once again, I'm being mighty generous to Minnesota Vikings here.
Right. I just don't see them. Like, some people got them winning or being competitive to win the division. I'm like, no, they don't. Plus, you got to look at their quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, he gets those.
This is last year in Minnesota.
Yeah, he's just not that guy, man. Like, he has Jefferson. Jefferson is that guy. But, man, like we was talking on the show, him and Goff are basically the same. He might get more yards and stuff like that because he has better weapons than Goff. But come on, Goff went to a Super Bowl, man. Goff should get more respect like Kirk Cousins, man. Like, Kirk Cousins is a straight bump.
There you go. Absolutely. NFC North. And since you joined in right after the NFC East, by the way, here's what our NFC East prediction was. I had Philadelphia, Dallas, and New York making the playoffs. Washington, I have them barely losing out at 7-10. Now, very quickly, Josh, do you agree or disagree with any of these here?
Well, Philly and Dallas is definitely making it. So either I agree with those. I don't know if the Giants gonna make it, man. I don't have no problem with the Giants, but I mean, 10-7 can get you into the NFC wild card, but I don't know, man. I just got to see that with the Saquon thing, man. If he stays healthy, they definitely could get into the playoffs, but he has to stay healthy again this year.
And Daniel Jones is taking steps up, though.
Yeah, no, yeah, I like Daniel Jones. Like I don't say too much. I don't knock him at all. Like I think he's a legitimate quarterback, man. He ain't no top tier quarterback, but he gets, you know what I'm saying? He can run the ball. He's a mobile quarterback, and he can pass the ball. So if he cut down on the turnovers and throw some more touchdowns, and Saquon stay healthy, yeah, they definitely could fight for that wild card. I mean, yeah, that wild card.
I mean, that's just the way it is, and I really think that's going to be the case. And so NFC East, that is the prediction there. Dallas, Philadelphia, and New York making the playoffs. Green Bay making the playoffs out of the NFC North.
Now, I hope you're right on that.
Now, I'm moving over to the abysmal NFC South, and I mean abysmal NFC South. And I have it being so abysmal that I believe for the fourth time in the last decade, we're going to have a team under 500 win their division and make the playoffs.
That happened last year, right, with Brady and them.
Well, happened last year. They went 8-9. I have Carolina this year going 8-9.
I can see that.
And people keep saying, well, New Orleans is 8-9, Carolina is 8-9. How are you going to do the tiebreaker? Well, simple. I think that Carolina will have a better record in the division than New Orleans will. And that's what gets them in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's out of those two teams. Like people say, I mean, Atlanta's a wild card. Atlanta, it just depends on the quarterback situation. I think they have a good team, but it remains to be seen if they can, if it all comes together on the field. But we know those two defenses with Carolina and New Orleans, they got some top defenses that I think could help carry their the offensive the lack of offense they got. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. And I will say with Carolina, this is a team. Brian Burns, my pick for Defensive Player of the Year. He is an exceptional player, solid swim technique, good bull rush. Yeah. I mean, I'll say when it comes to Brian Burns, he is a deadly force on defense.
Big time.
And everyone keeps mentioning Bryce Young. You know, Bryce Young, first overall pick. CJ was second. And there's going to be a lot of expectations on Bryce. A lot of people talk about his size, even though there are undersized quarterbacks who have made it in the NFL. So I don't understand why this is still a problem in today's world. But,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, they're going to, you know what I'm saying? He's a young quarterback. And it's a benefit that he's in the NFC South because there's really there's another division that's up for grabs too. You know what I mean? Like there's no clear-cut favorites as you can see. You know what I mean? Like somebody out of those three teams that you picked, of course, Tampa Bay is just, I don't know. Man,
Tampa Bay, I'm being generous, and I'm being mighty generous. I have them winning 5 games just because this division's probably going to
right. They might split against, you know what I'm saying, a couple of these teams, but Tampa Bay to me is going to be probably one of the worst teams. People say Arizona, but Tampa Bay is going to be right there at the bottom. You know what I mean? Fighting for that number 1 draft pick.
Interesting enough, we will talk about Arizona and LA coming up next as we do the NFC West after this. But NFC South, Carolina, look, New Orleans, 8-9. They're going to be competitive, but that's kind of been the problem with New Orleans since the Drew Brees era has ended. They've kind of just stayed around 500. They haven't really been great, but they haven't been terrible either. I mean, that's kind of been the New Orleans problem at this point. Yeah, they're in what I like to call mediocre lane, where they're just not good, but they're not bad either.
And that's the only reason why I really give them the edge is because of the quarterback, which is not saying much. I think Derek Carr is the best quarterback in this division, and that's self-explanatory right there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's the only reason. And they got a good defense. They got the best quarterback, and they got a good defense. I ain't saying they got the best because Carolina probably has the best, but yeah, you could go either way with that.
Now I will mention Atlanta real quick. Not just because we have a friend, Ron Thomas, just because we know him. Right. But with the Atlanta Falcons, I have them at 7-10. Look, let's face it, James Desmond Ridder is going to be their main question mark here.
Exactly.
Look, Bijan Robinson, they are making him the highest paid running back in the NFL. before he has even played a game. You have a receiver in Drake London. You're hoping he can have a good connection with James Desmond Ritter. And your offensive line is ranked second in all of the NFL, which I do believe is a compliment to how well the Atlanta Falcons have built that offensive line.
Yeah, that's a good situation to be in. Have coming in as the quarterback, man. You know your offensive line can run and pass block for you.
But the question is going to be a defense, and I know that we have a friend who's been trying to convince me for months now that the defense is going to be solid. It's going to be great, but you're going to have to show me on the field that defense can really step up and do what it's got to do.
Did they probably Kuda? I think his name is. Didn't he get hurt already? I don't know if he's back, but I think he got hurt.
He should be back, but he did get hurt. Yes,
that's what I'm saying. Like that's the reason why the Lions got rid of him, man. He just stays hurt. But we'll see. I don't have no ill will with none of these teams. I might not like some of the fans though, but man, NFC South is trash too.
All right, I'm gonna play this comment just because I can. Derek Carr is one of the best QB, and now that he's no longer in silver and black, will play so much better. Now, I will mention that he did add a few pounds of muscle this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
He actually does look in better shape out there in New Orleans.
I don't mean nothing, though.
But once again, the situation is, all right, you've added some muscle. You've been doing workouts. You're trying to get in better shape. But now you got to go on the field and score touchdowns. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Cam Newton been, you know what I'm saying, one of the best fit quarterbacks for a while, but it don't translate into wins. You know what I mean? Like you could be fit and all that, like all that muscle band, like that don't add up. I mean, it doesn't translate into wins all the time. So good that he taking his health. That's important to him. So kudos to you, Derek Carr.
Since we do prop bets out here in Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world out here in Las Vegas, someone asked the question, Baker Mayfield being replaced by Kyle Trask. What's the over and under on that?
It's the same quarterback to me. Hey, it could go either way, man. I don't know. I'll take your expert.
I'm going to say week 8. I think by week 8, Kyle Trask is going to be the starting quarterback of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It might not even be that long, man. That dude is just, I don't know, man. Like,
I mean, he went from being a number 1 overall pick to barely being in the league.
Right. He got all the talent in the world, but it just, like I was just saying, it don't translate to the field, man. It just, some quarterbacks just ain't got it. He could come in and probably win you a couple of games like he did last year for Carolina, but at the end of the day, he still was trash, man. So, trash. They drafted him for a reason, so hopefully he win that spot, man. I want to see him more than Mayfield.
We will definitely have to wait and see what happens there as we are doing our NFL season preview. Before we get to the NFC West, once again, just going to very quickly recap and show you what our predictions were. NFC East, we have Philadelphia, Dallas, and New York making the playoffs. Washington barely missing out at 7-10. NFC North, Green Bay will win the division. Detroit will be at 8 wins. Chicago 7. Minnesota at 6. NFC South, Carolina will win the division thanks to tiebreakers at 8 and 9. New Orleans will win 8. Atlanta 7. And Tampa Bay at 5. Now getting to the NFC West here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Josh Bailey, the CEO of Stay Tuned Live. And getting to the NFC West, one of the best divisions that you're going to be seeing all year round. And as you see right down below, this is going to be a fun division to talk about because San Francisco is dominant. San Francisco is going to be one of the best teams all year. But Seattle's up and coming. The Seattle Seahawks are on the rise right now.
Most definitely. I like Seattle, man. Like, Gino proved a lot of people wrong, man, and I hope he built on last year. So, San Francisco, I talked about it on the last show, man. I do not like San Francisco. Let me keep it. I do not like the 49ers, man. I ain't gonna mouth them right now, but I don't like them. Let me keep it like that. I'll fire off on them boys, but I'm not.
You see, I would like to say some jokes about San Francisco 49ers, but Jay Will has already been to Vegas, so he knows where to find me. So I will say that when it comes to San Francisco, I'm going to be respectable. I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to say San Francisco, the quarterback situation is what it is. Shanahan's a quarterback whisperer. And as long as injuries do not affect San Francisco, I have them going 11-6, having one of the best records in the NFL, and they will make the playoffs coming into the year. I will say with Seattle, 12-5, they're going to have an excellent up-and-coming year. And I will mention that Arizona and LA, they're going to be competing for the first overall pick. Now, Josh, let me ask you this before we move over to the NFC playoff side of it. When it comes to Arizona and LA competing for the Tank Bowl, competing for the first overall pick, could you see the LA Rams or Arizona Cardinals winning what they've been calling the Marvin Harrison Jr. sweepstakes? Because Marvin Harrison Jr. has been all the rage heading into this upcoming draft.
Well, if both those quarterbacks stay healthy, and if Cooper Kupp stays healthy, I think they could be a little bit more than 4-13. But as always, if Kyler gets hurt like he seems to do every year, I could definitely see Arizona, going down. And I don't even know who they receivers and stuff is. Like they offense is just horrible from what I could think of. The Rams, I don't know what's wrong with them. Stafford is not that guy, but if Stafford is hurt and Cooper Kupp is if Stafford is healthy and Cooper Kupp is healthy, I think they could probably win more than 4. But if not, they'll be right there where you said they are.
And, of course, we always have the Caleb Williams situation, the quarterback from USC. But, unfortunately, the problem is unless Matthew Stafford retires, the Rams don't really have a spot for the quarterback. In Arizona, unless they trade Kyler Murray, they really don't have a spot for the quarterback as well. So, getting over to the NFC West. Now, here's what my playoff teams are going to be coming out of the NFC. I have Philadelphia as the 1 seed, Seattle as the 2 seed, Green Bay as the 3 seed, then Carolina rounding out the division winners, then Dallas, San Francisco, and New Jersey being the final 3 teams in the NFC. Now, let me ask you, Josh, is your bracket anything different? So is there anything different on your side of the bracket?
Now that you know what I'm saying, the way you lined it up, I could see New York Giants squeaking in there because of how trash the NFC South is and how wide open and the NFC North is. Because I don't even think one team is making it out of those 2. So in the NFC West, probably 2. Definitely not 3. So I can see the New York Giants squeaking in. So I'm with it.
And unfortunately, Josh, as I get to the NFC Championship game and doing my prediction there, I do have to let you know, unfortunately, Josh, I do have your team losing in the first round. My apologies.
We make it to the playoffs the first year. That's a win. That's a win. It's one of the few times that it's not Super Bowl or bust for Green Bay. You know what I mean? It's weird for us, but that's just the way it is, man. A winning record and a playoff berth. It's a W in my book.
Now, getting over to the NFC Championship game. And here is what my prediction is going to be. I have the Seattle Seahawks out there in Washington, out there at CenturyLink Field. I have them doing one of the best rivalries in all of the NFL, and I think it will be in the NFC Championship game. I have the Seattle Seahawks beating the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game, and you're going to see the green and blue going to the Super Bowl here in Las Vegas. Now, Josh, I'm going to have you give your Super Bowl prediction before I move over to the AFC. I'm going to have somebody else come on and do the AFC side. I will say for the NFC, who do you have, Josh?
Well, I don't even want San Francisco to get that far again because it's just, man, living out here, I do not want to hear the fans talk crazy. You know what I mean? And I just think that their quarterback situation and the way Shanahan's his track record, man, he leans on that quarterback that's not that unproven or that mediocre quarterback too much and cost him the game, though. But I'm gonna be with you. I say I want to see Seattle and then it's either out of Philly or Dallas, man. Like I don't want to see Dallas or the teams. I would rather see Seattle in the Super Bowl, but whoever it is, hey, I'm rocking with Seattle with you, man. For now.
And before I move over to the AFC side, I'm bringing on Blaze, by the way. He'll be coming on talking about the AFC. I will say, what is your Super Bowl prediction? Josh Bailey, the CEO of Stay Tuned Live.
Man, AFC, I'm still going to stick with, since Blaze is, you know what I'm saying, coming on. Hey, the Buffalo Bills and I don't know for the NFC. Let me go with Green Bay Packers.
Hey, there you go, man. That is definitely what it is. And I will say, Josh Bailey, once again, shout out and plug your content real quick. Let everybody know around the world where they can find Josh Bailey, where they can find Stay Tuned Live.
Hey, y'all can find Stay Tuned on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Just type in Stay Tuned Live. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Western or Pacific time. So, hey man, just type in Stay Tuned Live. You'll see the logo. You'll see Ian. You'll see me. You'll see somebody. Czar, Blaze, Doug, Jay, Will. You'll see somebody, man.
Absolutely. And I will say, Josh, once again, appreciate you coming on the show. And we will have you on another time. And on Tuesday, I will see you on Stay Tuned Live. Have a good one, my friend.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right. And as we are moving over to the AFC side of the bracket, we are going to get to the AFC North. And it is time to bring on a really good guest, someone who's very knowledgeable about the Cincinnati Bengals. And, of course, I am talking about Blaze. I do appreciate you coming on the show, Blaze. And I will say I'm going to do my bracket. I'm going to put it up right under here, right under you and me. And let's talk about the AFC North because this is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. And, of course, your Cincinnati Bengals, I have them going 12-5, once again, winning that division. I know Joe Burrow, he's going to be injured for a little bit, but it's going to be okay. Trevor Siemian, established veteran quarterback. But, Blaze, let me ask you, when it comes to your Cincinnati Bengals, how do you see them heading into this year? And I got them going 12-5. But what about you, Blaze? What do you got? Oh, you're on mute, my friend.
Just noticed. But yeah, Super Bowl contender is what I was saying. I think we're in the last window. I think Joe Burrow gets not the last window, but the last window of the quarterback rookie contract situation. Joe Burrow is going to get paid in my projection before the season. But we got a lot of guys going to get paid. T. Higgins, other guys have been getting paid. But yeah, I think we lose 4. I can see 5. I think we win the AFC North. We're going to be strong. But the best division in football, in my opinion, the AFC North, the NFC East might be able to compete with that. But they have the Redskins, the football team, the Commanders, the
Commodores,
to be named later team. So, but that makes us the best because we're going to be all competitive. Pittsburgh's always a tough challenge. Baltimore, always a tough challenge. Lamar Jackson got paid. So Cleveland is Cleveland, but they have a good defense. Bengals all day though.
Now I will mention that all the people who are upset with you about that Washington comment's going to go, now you want to poke fun at Washington, but you got Cleveland in your division. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to make fun of that as well.
That's fine. At least, they have a good tradition in Cleveland. They have a stadium that's not busting leaks with the piping on the fans. So, but I am happy to see that if there is fans out there of the Washington football team, I am happy to see that there is going to be new ownership. But they're a mess over there. So.
Well, shout out to Josh Bailey, putting Blaze in the chat, by the way. Did appreciate Josh coming on, talking about the NFC side. Now, of course, moving over to the AFC side with Blaze over here. Now, I do have Pittsburgh being the last wild card team in the AFC. And this is going to be a hot take. I know a lot of people are undervaluing Pittsburgh. But you got to remember, this is Mike Tomlin we're talking about. This is the Steelers way that we're talking about. They have a really well-built system. This is a Pittsburgh Steelers team in terms of stability. they are one of the best. They're like the Boston Celtics in the NBA. They're rarely out. They're rarely not in the playoffs. So I'm going to say with the Boston Celtics, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers now, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers making the playoffs coming out of the AFC. I have them going 9-8. But what about you, Blaze? I mean, considering they're in your division, I say Pittsburgh should definitely be a really good team to watch out there in the AFC.
I think that between those three teams, I think a second team gets in. I think it's going to be such a close margin between the three teams. I think that Pittsburgh has a good shot. They have one of my favorite receivers in the league, George Pickens. They also have some other weapons. They're going to make some noise. They got a healthy, let me say that one more time, a healthy Najee Harris. O-line got some improvements. It's still going to be a little, we'll see how that ends up. But, yeah, I like what they're doing in Pittsburgh. They got definitely some good players, great defense. I think it's between them and Baltimore, and I think that their head-to-heads might be the difference.
Now, I will say with Baltimore, the reason why I have them at 9-8 is simply I don't trust Lamar Jackson. I respect his talent. I respect what Lamar Jackson can do on the field. But, Blaze, we know that he has not played a full 17-game season in his entire career. That's an issue.
That's true. I mean, but I think that part of it last year was the contract situation. I think now that he has a contract, he'll be more inclined to get out there if he's got a situation where I could play, but because now he's got the financial backing to back him up. But with that being said, I think Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's right at that 5 spot, top 5 for me. For Baltimore Ravens, I think that they traditionally have a good defense, and I'm just not scared of that defense. I look at that defense, and they have some good pieces. But
it's about average. It's an average defense.
It's average, exactly. When I think of Baltimore Ravens, when I think of Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm thinking top-tier defenses, and Pittsburgh has it. Baltimore does not. I'm not scared about the Baltimore defense at all this year.
And they do still have the most elite kicker, and the guy is going to go in the Hall of Fame, Justin Tucker, though.
That's true, but, I mean, we're in a game where we're trying to score 7, and 3 is nice, in every situation, but we're trying to get 7.
Now, you agree with that statement that Justin Tucker will be one of the only 4 kickers inducted into the Hall of Fame?
One of the only 4? I think for sure he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Has Vinatieri got in yet?
Vinatieri, he just got in, yes.
Okay, so he just got in. So, yeah, off the top of my head, I really can't think of anybody but Justin Tucker. That's a for sure fire to get in.
And then I have to mention Cleveland very quickly. Look, I have no faith in Cleveland. I know some people do. That's great. They're expecting Deshaun Watson to be what he was in 2019, 2020. I don't see it. Maybe you could convince an argument for me, actually make a valid reason. I just don't see it. I mean, unless Nick Chubb becomes a great running back and goes for almost 2,000 yards, that's the only way I see him really having a winning record this year. I just don't think Cleveland has what it takes this year. Blaze, what about you?
I don't think that. I think the Cleveland's going to be a tough opponent. I don't think they're quite there yet. I'm not a real big Deshaun Watson fan, not because of the allegations or anything that's happened, just out of college. He's proved me wrong a little bit, but I was never really a big fan of Deshaun Watson going into the NFL. He has had some good years, and his best year in Houston, I'm not sure the stats, but I know one big stat was he only had 4 wins that season. So it's real easy to put up a lot of yards and touchdowns when there's no pressure. It's what you do in those pressure situations. That's what I want to see.
So as we move over from the AFC North, we are going to go to the AFC East, a division that so many people are going to love to talk about. And I'm definitely going to upset a lot of people here with my prediction. But the Buffalo Bills, they're still the top heavy. They're still the top team in the AFC East. I know a lot of people want to crown the New York Jets. It's not their time yet. A lot of people want to crown the Miami Dolphins. They're already getting injured. It's not even the end of training camp yet. The New England Patriots, that dynasty's over. All right, they are the St. Louis Cardinals in MLB. Their thing is coming to an end. I will say for the Buffalo Bills, I have them winning the division once again. And then this is the hot take here. I have the New York Jets and Miami Dolphins barely missing the playoffs at 9-8. And Aaron Rodgers throws a hissy fit, and he leaves the Jets at the end of the year. So, Blaze, what about you? AFC East, what is your prediction for this division?
I want to just get New England out of the way. I think New England's going to be one of the worst teams in football. Their offense is going to be terrible, in my opinion. Don't care who the quarterback is. They're running back by committee. I mean, it's not going to work. Stevenson, I think he's going to take a step back. A lot of people liked him last year. He's going to take a step back. So New England, done for. I like Miami a lot. I like Miami if Tua can stay healthy. I don't really like the coach that much. So I have Miami coming in second. I think the Jets, 8 and 9 would be my opinion. Aaron Rodgers couldn't do it with Green Bay. In my opinion, a better defense last year. I don't think he's going to do it with the Jets. It's just a name at this point. You know, it's just the boogeyman. We're not worried about him no more. He's not the boogeyman anymore. Buffalo, I got to give them the respect. A lot of people think they're going to take a step back. My Bengals beat them in their house in the snow last year in the playoffs. We also had that game that got shut down for DeMar Hamlin. I was happy it got shut down at the time. I was upset with the playoff seeding, how it played out. But with that being said, how we beat the Buffalo Bills, a lot of disrespect is going towards the Bills, but they're still a good team. I think Josh Allen will be in the MVP conversation this year. I think they win the division. So.
And I will mention to everyone watching all around the world that with Miami, there was also obviously a report about Jalen Waddle, him getting carted off the field. We'll see what that injury is long term. But with Miami, it feels like if you have a 40 time under 4.5, they're going to sign you to the roster. I mean, it's all about speed in Miami.
If you like playing the game Madden, yeah, they're definitely a great team to pick. You know, everybody's fast. But when we're talking about the NFL in real life, it's going to work. They're going to have some great weeks. But when they get into those situations, high-pressure situations, I don't think that they have the coach with the right mindset to get them through the situations. When it comes to a physical football game, especially in December and January, I don't think that they have the right running backs to get them through those situations. So, yeah, I think they're going to have blowout wins. But when it comes to those close games and those high-pressure games, I don't think they got it. But I do like Tua. I do like Tua as a high-pressure quarterback.
You know what? I like Tua. I think that he has done pretty well. My situation with Tua, and this is from a health perspective, I don't want to see him become Jim McMahon. Being a Bears fan, I see what Jim McMahon looks like now. And I don't want that for Tua. But unfortunately, it looks like he might be put in that situation because all it's going to take now is that one more hit. All it's going to take is that one unlucky play, and he might suffer another concussion.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tell because he is such a warrior and such a warrior mindset. It could be something minimal that, you know, maybe he gets a little shaken up visibly in the game, and they could be overly cautious with it just because they want to take the overly cautious approach. And we just don't know, and we'll see how it plays out. I'm rooting for him, though. I mean, I'm not rooting for him to beat my Bengals or anything like that, but I want to see him have a successful 17-game season healthy.
So, as we are doing our AFC East here on the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Blaze, and I will mention with the AFC East once again for all audio listeners all around the world on iHeartRadio and Spotify. So, Buffalo, 13 wins. They make the playoffs. New Jersey Jets will go 9-8. Miami will go 9-8. And New England will go 7-10. And let me just recap the AFC North for all the audio listeners if I haven't said it before. Cincinnati will go 12-5 and make the playoffs. Pittsburgh will be the 7th and final seed at 9-8. Baltimore will barely miss out at 9-8. And Cleveland will go 5-12. Now, the AFC South is going to be a very easy division to talk about. There is one team leaps and bounds better than the rest, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. But really a main question you have to ask yourself, can Jacksonville become one of the best teams in the AFC and really join Cincinnati and join Buffalo and join Kansas City? Is Jacksonville at that point, Blaze, where we can take them as serious contenders?
I think so. I think they are. I think Trevor Lawrence takes another step up. I think they have the right coach, not only for the team, a guy that's been to the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, but they also got a guy who is good with quarterbacks. So I think that these guys are going to take another step. 12-5 looks good to me. And, yeah, I think they're clear-cut to win this division.
And shout out to Christian Kirk, by the way, one of my favorite receivers to watch in the NFL. He got the bag in Jacksonville. A lot of people made fun of him for it. Well, he definitely cashed in and definitely got his money worth last year. We'll see what he does this year.
Yeah, shout out to one of my favorite receivers, Calvin Ridley. You know, he put $1,000 on some parlay and missed out on half of his bag for the season, but he'll bounce back this year.
And Evan Ingram, by the way, I think he is now the highest paid tight end in the NFL. So Evan Ingram, good for him.
Yeah, definitely good third, fourth weapon over the middle.
And the Houston Texans, who are going to be my surprise team in the AFC, very similar to the NFC when I mentioned that my surprise pick would be the Washington Commanders. I think they'll do better than a lot of people expect. Houston, I have as my pick as a surprise team you got to watch out for. DeMeco Ryans, I have a lot of respect for him coming from San Francisco. Former Eagles linebacker, former Texans linebacker. And I will say Houston's going to do pretty well. I also will mention that when it comes to CJ, I think he's going to have some rookie mistakes, but he'll do pretty well. Now, Blaze, what about you? What do you think about Houston? I think they're going to do pretty well.
Yeah, I think Houston reminds me of how I was feeling about the Lions last year. Tough team. I think what you're going to see is a slow start. And then I think at some point during the year, whether it's the first quarter, first half, or later in the season, you're going to see everything start clicking. And they're going to be a hard out. Not saying they will win all those games at the end, but they're going to be close games. And that's what you want to see from a young team and a young coach.
And then I have to mention the Indianapolis Colts going 5-12. Look, I really don't see any good expectations for Indianapolis. I don't expect them to do well this year. Blaze, what about you, Indianapolis? Do you see any potential for them?
I think they're going to be a top 5 pick in the draft next year. Their handling of this whole Taylor running back situation, contract. I like Richardson, but he's a rookie quarterback. He's going to have some accuracy issues. Yeah, he's a great athlete, and he's got all the potential in the world, but those things take time to develop. So I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. No weapons. I mean, Pittman, I like Pittman. He's not a number one weapon, in my opinion.
And this is going to be controversial, but this is going to be the worst team in the NFL. There's so many dysfunction with Tennessee. I have them at 3 wins. I know a lot of people have them more than that, but I just think Tennessee, there's dysfunction is going to go down. They're going to go down in flames out there in Tennessee.
Yeah, see, I would have Indianapolis as my last team in the division. I would have Tennessee at around 6 or 7 wins. They still got Derrick Henry. They're still going to be a physical, well-coached football team. So still Tannehill for the time being. We'll see around midseason if they go the rookie quarterback route or Willis, one of those two guys. But yeah, I think they'll win about 6 or 7 games. I like the way they're coached. I like Derrick Henry, of course.
And as we are doing the show here on Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, a voice of new media, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. And, there's always, it's live, folks. Anything can happen here on the Sports Angle. And I will go over to the AFC West very quickly. I'm going to have to read this out here on the show. But Kansas City, I think they are the cream of the crop. They're the best team in the AFC. I have Kansas City at 14 wins. Blaze, what do you think about that?
I don't think that Kansas City gets the number 1 seed this year. I'm not going to make a prediction who does get the number 1 seed. I definitely don't want to put any hometown bias in there. But I will say that I do think Kansas City will win the West. Come on now. They're coming off a Super Bowl. They haven't really lost much. They always got Patrick Mahomes. So always got to bet on those guys.
And then going over to the Los Angeles Chargers. Now I have them definitely being a playoff team. I have them at 10-7. I think Kellen Moore is going to help out Justin Herbert. That running game, Austin Eckler is pretty solid, and their offensive line is pretty good as well. Los Angeles Chargers, I think it's playoff or bust for them, and Brandon Staley's job is definitely on the line if they do not make the playoffs. So Blaze, are the Chargers once again going to make it to the wild card round?
They're going to make the playoffs, and you took the words right out of my mouth. If they do not make the playoffs, Staley's gone. And I'll even elevate that a little bit. I think that I would go into the season looking at what Kellen Moore does for the offense, what he does for Justin Herbert, the relationships he builds on that offense. And if I see a lot of good things from that, I might, even if we make a playoffs and win in the wild card round, I might kick Staley out and promote Kellen Moore off the bat if things work out well.
That is definitely a bold prediction there by Blaze, having Kellen Moore, the former Boise State Bronco, the former quarterback, college football legend, him going to be the head coach in LA. And then this is going to be my bold playoff prediction. And I have Sean Payton, Denver Broncos. I have them doing what they were supposed to do last year, going 10-7. And I think that the Denver Broncos are going to do pretty well. Now, Blaze, you may agree or disagree with that.
Hey, it's a Blaze. I think we lost Ian for a second, but stay tuned because he'll be right back. In the meantime, I like long walks on the beach, watching football, playing fantasy football, and sports betting. So if you guys out there watching like those things too, stay tuned, baby. Oh, speaking of stay tuned, you catch your boy Blaze Thunder Gabbard live on Stay Tuned Tuesdays. Check the time in the bio because I forgot the time because I'm in Pacific, California. And these guys are out of California too. I think we started like 7 Pacific. That's 10 Eastern. Check out Stay Tuned Live on Tuesdays. Waiting a brief moment for Ian to get back. Stay tuned, baby. How's the lighting? Lighting looks good. Great. How's the hair? Hair looks good. Looked like Wolfman 3 days ago. Hell yeah. What's going on, Vegas? What's going on, Bay Area? What's going on, Philly? What's going on, San Diego, California, where Blaze Thunder's at? What's going on, Corpus Christi, Texas? What's going on? Let's see, who else we got viewing? Buffalo, New York. If you guys are listening right now, shout out your areas in the chat. Hold on 1 second. Let me go see. All right, so I'm not sure if we're still live or not, but if we're still live, Ian's going to be back after some technical difficulties within the next 5, maybe 10 minutes. So I'll give you guys about another 60 seconds of some quality Thunder Blaze entertainment. And then I'm probably going to log off, get on the new link. So make sure you stay involved with the Sports Angle page because we're going to be back in about 5 minutes. I wish that I could see what you guys are saying out there. Maybe I could answer some questions for you. But if you have any questions when we get back on, put them in the chat. We will answer them to the best of our abilities. We're pretty knowledgeable about all 32 teams. So if you want to say something about your team, or if you want to say something about one of our teams, I like the Bengals, he likes the Bears. You want to trash talk us, bring it, baby. Because it's football season. It's fantasy football season, and it's time for Thunder Blaze to get hyped up. I've been in the cocoon for the last 6 weeks, waiting for this moment for football to come back, and I'm ready, baby. So if you want to talk your ish, come bring it. Let's go. Thunder Blaze, I'm coming back. 30 seconds. Let's go.
It's live, folks. Anything can happen here on the Sports Angle. I'm your host, Dan Kelly. We're here at Blaze once again. We are back, and this always happens. Technical difficulties, but it's live. Anything can happen. Now, getting back to what we were talking about, and AFC South, we did mention all of that. AFC West. Now, I was mentioning Denver for the whole thing happened, and I will ask when it comes to the Denver Broncos. What is your take on them?
I think that the Broncos are not quite there yet. I think the defense is good. I got to see it out of Russell. They got Sean Payton, and everyone's excited. I think that he's going to bring a new element to the Broncos. But I think that you'll see improvements over how they were coached last year. But honestly, I don't think Sean Payton makes that much of a difference. They do got some weapons. I do like Judy, like Sutton. Their other receiver, Patrick, went down for the year, but they did draft another receiver in the second round. I think Mims. I forgot the name, but
Marvin Mims.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Marvin Mims. So they'll be all right. They'll be a tough game, but I just don't think they're going to be a playoff team.
And then, of course, we have to get to the team here in Las Vegas, the sports entertainment capital of the world, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, some people are going to say I'm being too generous. Some people are going to say I'm being too harsh. But I think I'm just right. All right, the Las Vegas Raiders, they're going to have some very big question marks heading into the year. But I do have the Las Vegas Raiders going 5-12, being led by Jimmy Garoppolo. Aiden O'Connell, rookie quarterback out of Purdue, has actually been making noise in the training camp. He's actually done pretty well out there at Purdue. But Blaze, what about you? I mean, is this kind of some homerism here on my end, or do you think this is an accurate record for the Raiders?
I think that the Raiders' best case scenario would be to lose more games because they're a mess. I don't like their coach, but if they're going to go with that coach down the road, he's going to need his quarterback. And the quarterback they have now is, one of his guys from the past, but he's not the guy. They got contractual issues with Josh Jacobs, a guy that they're going to need if they want to win games. I don't like anything the Raiders got to bring to the table, really.
Defense is actually something I think does have some progress for the Las Vegas Raiders, but offensive line, very underwhelming. The tight end, he's a rookie tight end having to replace Darren Waller. So hopefully the Raiders can do well.
Who do you, off the top of your head, do you know who the Raiders cornerbacks are?
Marcus Peters. I know he's on there. Nate Hobbs. That's pretty much it. Top two is Peters and Hobbs.
Yeah, I forgot they got Peters, but I know that they had during the draft they needed to get a cornerback, and so I was just thinking defense is going to be decent, but they also got to go against KC. They got to go against Denver's weapons. They got to go against Chargers' weapons. So we'll see. That's 6 games right there.
Indeed, it is. Now, getting to the playoff teams, I'm going to have my playoff teams down below. And then, Blaze, I will have you do your 7 in just a little bit. But my bracket for what I have here, now Kansas City, I have the top seed once again at 14 wins. Buffalo, I have at 13. Cincinnati at 12. And then I have Jacksonville at 12. I mean, I will say when it comes to winning a division in the AFC, you are definitely going to be a 12-win team, 13-win team. This isn't like the NFC where you can be under 500 and win your division. You actually have to win in the AFC. So, any difference on this? Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville?
No, those are actually my division winners as well.
So, it is most likely going to be the wild card teams that we are going to disagree on. I have Denver at 10-7, LA at 10-7, and then Pittsburgh at 9-8. Being your wild card teams in the AFC. Now, Blaze, who are your trio for the wild card?
I have the Chargers at 11 wins. Who else did I have? It's a coin flip between Pittsburgh and Baltimore with me, so I'm gonna save them for last. I'm gonna put Miami in there, probably about 9-10 wins, and then around 9-10 wins, I have. The more I think about it, I'm switching my tune because you asked me a week ago, I'm going to the Baltimore Ravens. But I think that Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get that last spot in the wild card.
It is definitely going to be fascinating to see what happens in the AFC. Now, let's watch and have like 4 of these teams not even make the playoffs. So, that's just the way it always is. Like, you make these predictions and then half of them are wrong by week 8. So, getting to the AFC Championship game. Now, I'm going to have Blaze start out first before I give out mine. But who would be your prediction for the AFC Championship game, Blaze?
We got to run it back. We got to do third time as a charm. Cincinnati versus the Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. That's going to be your prediction for the AFC Championship game?
Yes, but the only difference is it's going to be in the jungle, not Burrowhead.
You know what? I like that confidence. And as much as I would love to say Kansas City is going to take on Buffalo, I actually, as much as I'd love to have Kansas City versus Cincinnati, I am actually going to go with Kansas City beating Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. I say for the first time in forever, Buffalo will actually overcome Cincinnati. They will do what they failed to do last year. So I have Buffalo beating Cincinnati, Kansas City beating Jacksonville once again, and that will set up a Kansas City-Buffalo AFC Championship game. And unfortunately, they will be the maid of honor, as Buffalo will lose once again to Kansas City in the playoffs. So, if you didn't see it earlier in the show, I have Seattle beating San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. It's going to be an all-West championship game. Now, Blaze, what's going to be your NFC Championship game?
I'm going to keep it consistent. San Francisco. Oh, man, I don't know. I got Philly. I think Philly's right there. And I want to go San Francisco. I just the quarterback, everyone's like Brock Purdy, but I'm not really on that Brock Purdy train yet. They do got great defense. I'm going to say San Francisco. I'll probably change my tune in like about 6 weeks. But we'll go Philly and San Francisco.
Now, similar to what we did earlier in the show with King Czar and with Josh Bailey, I asked them for their Super Bowl prediction. Hence, it is here in Las Vegas, the sports entertainment capital of the world. Blaze, what is your prediction? What is your pick for the Super Bowl?
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I lied. I'm taking San Francisco out. And the team that I'm going to mention is going to be in my Super Bowl prediction. So we're going with the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to get that dub over the Dallas Cowboys. They slipped my mind for a moment. It's been my prediction for a few weeks. I think that Dallas is going to bring it all together. Dak haters can say whatever. I think that they're just going to fire on all cylinders. When Dak's having a weak game, I think the defense will pick them up. And that's what we've done through the playoffs. When Burrow didn't have the best game, defense picked him up. It's 52 people or 53 guys that get you to that spot. And then practice squad, it's not just one guy. So Cowboys and Bengals, stars and stripes, America's game.
The over and under for Dak Prescott interceptions is 8.5. You taking the over or under?
I'm taking well over. I'm going double digits. I'll go to 11.
Yeah, I like how that guy had 15 interceptions last year in only 12 games.
Yeah, I'm going way over that.
And for my Super Bowl prediction here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, I have for the first time since the New England Patriots, I have the Kansas City Chiefs going back to back. And I have Patrick Mahomes winning his 3rd Super Bowl MVP. And they beat the Seattle Seahawks here in Las Vegas.
I like it. I like the prediction. Seattle. I like Geno Smith. I think he's gonna have a great year. Yeah, I don't know if he's got the juice to get him the Super Bowl, but the team's looking good.
And since we have about 10 minutes left here on the show, I do very quickly want to run down MLB, do a little bit of Diamond talk, and I know you're a Cincinnati Reds fan. I am a Chicago fan, of course. And, man, what is going on with Cincinnati? Like, they had a great May, great June. You know, July was solid, but August, it feels like they have just gone. Brrr.
Yeah, we got off to a slow start in the season. There's guys that are on the roster now that I was saying before the season needed to be on the season. Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, guys who got went on fire when they came into the league have kind of slowed down a little bit, but they're rookies and it's baseball. There's going to be hot streaks, cold streaks. It's nothing to worry about. Cincinnati fans, baseball, football, any kind of Cincinnati sport have been known to panic, and they're in panic mode right now. Oh, why aren't these guys hitting over 300 still? There's no panic. It's just a young team. Where we did fail was we had a weak bullpen. Our two best starters have been out, Hunter Green, Lodolo. Those guys have been out for some time, and we did no moves at the deadline to bring anybody in. So once we get those two starters back, I think we'll see a little bit more production from the team. We're right in the cusp, so we're still fighting. Cubs looking good, though. I like what the Cubs been doing over the last few weeks.
I mean, the Cubs are 2.5 games back, and they're actually a game, I think, either a game up or they're half a game back in the NL wild card. And I will say with Chicago, with Milwaukee, Cincinnati, a division that a lot of people were starting to not take seriously for the last couple of years, they have 3 really good teams right now in the NL Central.
Yeah, definitely do. And the Brewers, we can't catch the Brewers because we can't beat them. We're done playing them for the year, but we couldn't beat those guys. I think we're like 2-11 against them. I'm not sure if you guys have any more games with the Brewers or not, but
we have one more series.
One more series. Yeah, that's going to be very crucial for both sides. The Brewers are just showing that they've got the veterans to propel them to the playoffs, whereas the Reds had that hot streak, and we're showing our youth. And you're also seeing it with other teams like the Marlins and especially the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're showing the same things.
Now, since you mentioned Milwaukee, I was talking to a friend of mine a long time ago, and I actually was talking to a family member about the same topic. I said the Milwaukee Brewers have one heck of a starting rotation. Like, that's the one thing Milwaukee's always had. The last 4 or 5 years, they have 4 solid starting pitchers, and they lost Josh Hader, and that was supposed to affect them in the bullpen. They even got better thanks to Devin Williams. Devin Williams has become one of the best closers of baseball.
Yeah, I like him. He's got some he's got some wild, crazy stuff. Like when I watch that guy pitch, just his movement on some of his pitches, I'm like, wow, how did he do that? But yeah, that's the thing. Like we know they have good starters. When I watched a lot of those games in the series, I was seeing some of those bullpen guys. I'm like, we can't hit these guys. Like, man, these guys are coming in on fire.
Yeah, and to me, the opposite is Chicago. Because outside of Justin Steele, who, by the way, should be NL Cy Young. I know I'm being biased here, but he should be an NL Cy Young conversation. 13-3 and ERA under around 2.5. So I would say he should be in the Cy Young conversation. But the thing about the Cubs is that their bullpen hasn't been blowing games as they were at the beginning of the year. So as long as the bullpen is not blowing games late, I think the Cubs have a really good shot at winning it.
Yeah, they're looking good. We played these guys, I think, like maybe 10 days ago. They put up like 30 runs in like 2 games. We beat them the first game of the series. I was feeling good. And then if you just look at a team, like I think we scored like 6 and we scored like maybe like 7 or 8. So we scored like a good amount of runs, and you think that's enough to win a game, but those Cubs put like 30 runs against us. Like, it was crazy.
And since we're actually going to be talking about more than just the NL Central, I mean, Atlanta, they have been the best team in all of baseball out there in the NL East. The NL West, Dodgers are being the Dodgers, doing what they always have done. I mean, I would love to have the NL Central go out and win it. I think it'd be fantastic to see. But let's just be honest, Atlanta, LA, they've been running the NL for the last 4 or 5 years. Who would kind of be your pick to come out of the National League? Would it be Atlanta or would it be LA?
I think that the Braves are they're just going to be tough to beat. Dodgers, they're a tough out, but these Braves, they're on another level. They've got everything.
I will say for the LA Dodgers, because of their consistency, and I mentioned this on a show previously, that the last 7 World Series have had either the Astros or the Dodgers in it, which is actually amazing. The fact that those 2 teams have been in every World Series since 2017. But to me, the Dodgers, they're just too consistent. Like, they have the best scouting department in all of baseball, great scouting, good coaching, and that's something you really can't beat, especially in October.
Yeah, I mean, they're a tough out, but I just think the Braves are just too much. Speaking of the West, like the Padres, I'm out here in San Diego, California. These guys are such a disappointment. Right when you think they're crawling back into it, they're making ground. They just give it right back up.
And how about those Giants, though? And since Josh Bailey's not here, I don't have to defend him. When it comes to the Giants, they've been falling the last month. Like they've really been slipping in terms of their performance.
Oh yeah, and the thing about the Giants is I think they were outperforming like who they were like as a baseball team. But that's the thing about Pittsburgh Steelers, San Francisco Giants. These guys are just such well-run organizations. They just find a way to win with whatever they have. So we got about another month left of baseball. It's going to be interesting, especially with my team still being in it. I didn't think we would still be in it at this point. I'm not going to sit here and lie to say I thought we are going to be here because I definitely was not saying that before the season.
And as somebody who has been an established veteran when it comes to sports once told me, when it comes to baseball, the first 4 months are fine, but August and September is how you figure out who's going to be in the playoffs and who's not going to be in the playoffs. Like August and September is so valuable.
Very true. Very, very true.
And I will give a little bit of credit to the AL West real quick. No, I'm not talking about the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's, and they're going to be here in 2 or 3 years. Not talking about them. But my favorite team to watch in baseball, they are the funnest team to watch, and that is the Seattle Mariners. I mean, they have won 9 of their last 10 games. They went from a team that was barely at 500 to now 2.5 games out of the AL wild card. And what do you think about Seattle? They're just a fun team to watch.
They are, and they made the right moves last year. They gave us some prospects for Luis Castillo. They've made some good trades. They've got the right balance of veterans and young superstar, and great pitching staff. So I do like the Seattle Mariners. I want to see if they can get past that first round this year.
Will definitely be interesting to see what they do. Anaheim Angels, they went all in at the trade deadline and has blown up in their face. In fact, I think they've went 2-9 since the trade deadline. So Anaheim Angels, it feels like they should have sold Shohei Ohtani. I was saying that heading into the deadline. You should have sold Shohei Ohtani and have gotten an entire farm system back. But unfortunately, they did not. I mean, Blaze, any ideas about the Anaheim Angels? I mean, they really blew an opportunity to make that team better by trading Ohtani.
That was my opinion. I was saying it before too. They need to trade him unless they have a verbal agreement saying like, "Hey, we're going to do everything. We're going to try and do everything we can to win now." With your word saying that we can get a contract done and have somewhat of a blueprint for this contract done. But now you're just going to watch him just walk away to another franchise and probably one that's right down the road, or I'm sorry, right up the road, 30 minutes in Los Angeles. And you could have got some very good prospects back from that organization just to watch him leave for nothing.
You know, I'm really happy that you said that because that was the one team Artie Moreno would not trade to. He said that he would not trade to the Dodgers no matter what.
And that's a philosophy I'd have as an owner. I wouldn't want to trade my superstar to a team that's like a World Series contender. That's
right,
just my
trade him right up the freeway.
Yeah, but that's my philosophy. I don't like to like make a team that's already on the cusp of being a champion. I don't want to give them that last piece. But with that being said, if I know that I've got this generational superstar and he's pretty much got one foot out the door anyways, I'm going to swallow my pride and I'm going to think about the future of the team because the Angels, as for the last 15 years, have had one of the best superstars in baseball and have not got it done. They added a second one and have not got it done. So I would rather add 5-6 more pieces and think about the future.
And I will say it will be really interesting when Shohei Ohtani either goes up the Bay and signs the San Francisco Giants or goes all the way up to the Pacific Northwest and signs the Seattle Mariners. But I will say, talking about the AL Central, they might finish below 500 and still have a team in that division. Really one of the worst divisions in all baseball, AL Central.
Yeah, I think that, the Indians or the Guardians got rid of Savali. I mean, I understand it. Like but they didn't really get much back. So with you being that close in the race, that's a piece they should have held on to. Honestly, that's the one division I don't really watch too much. My brother is from Cleveland. He is a Guardians fan, so he keeps me in the loop with them. But we were both puzzled about that trade. I thought they'd trade him, but not for that.
And then we have about 30 seconds left here on the show. So the AL East, would this be the first time in history that all 5 teams at the end of the year finish above 500?
That'd be crazy. That's a very interesting. Going into the season, I think that was the most interested I was in a division. Just the competition, knowing the Orioles are good, Blue Jays, Yankees are the Yankees. It's a fun division to watch. So,
And Blaze, I will say thank you for coming on the show. This was our NFL season preview here on the Sports Angle. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. And this will definitely be a fantastic show, and I will love it when Kansas City proves me right and wins the Super Bowl here in Las Vegas. Until next time, have a good one, folks.
Thank you.